What does the Srimad Bhagavatam say about the great incarnation of Parashurama? What is the actual reason why Parashurama killed every Kshatriya on earth? Why did Parashurama behead his own mother? What was the reason for that? Why did the sage's son, who was born like Rama, turn so furious? Why is it that ordinary people cannot see Parashurama at all? Let us find answers to all these questions in this video. The video is truly wonderful, so do watch it till the end. Because even the gods themselves cannot withstand the power of penance present in Bhargava Rama. He is always a great embodiment who fights against the injustices in the world. He shines with the brilliance of a crore suns. It is said in the Bhagavatam that even if ordinary people see such a fierce and mighty form from a distance, they will be burnt by that radiance. The story of Parashurama begins with the greatness of the Bhrigu lineage. He is the fifth son of the highly radiant and ascetic sage Jamadagni and the most pious Renuka Devi. His original name is Rava, but as he pleased Lord Shiva and received the divine weapon called Parshu, which means axe, from him, he became famous in the world as Parashurama. Since he was born in the Bhrigu lineage, he is also known as Bhargava Rama. Parashurama stood as an example of immense devotion to his father right from his childhood. He was a master of the Vedas, Dharma Shastras, and an expert in weaponry and warfare. Unlike the typical calm of great sages' ashrams, Parashurama had a warrior's glow. The reason for this was that his mother, Renuka Devi, in a previous birth, was born with the qualities of a young queen belonging to a Kshatriya dynasty. One day, when Renuka Devi went to the river to fetch water, she happened to see the Gandharva kings playing in the water and for a moment was drawn towards worldly matters. Because her mind was disturbed, the water she was carrying slipped away, and as she lost her Pathivrata Dharam, it became heavy and she was unable to lift it. The great sage Jamadagni, who possessed extraordinary spiritual power, immediately realized this matter through his divine vision. His anger flared up like a volcano. Because his penance had been disturbed, he called all his sons and, in that very moment, commanded them in anger, "Kill your mother at once." Even then, none of the sons could dare to kill their mother. While the others remained silent, Parashurama, who was known for his immense obedience to his father, stepped forward. Bowing to his father's command and considering his father's word as dharma, he beheaded his mother Renuka Devi with his axe. Jamadagni Maharshi, pleased with Parashurama's devotion to his father, said, "My son, ask for any boon you desire." He said, the boons that the great yogi Parashurama asked for were, firstly, that his mother Renuka Devi should be brought back to life. The second boon was that his mother should not remember that he had killed her. The third boon was that the sin of committing such a terrible act should not affect him. The Maharshi granted these boons and brought Renuka Devi back to life. This episode shows Parashurama not only as a Kshatriya destroyer, but also as a protector of Dharma and a devoted son. Immortalized in history, this episode reveals Parashurama's true nature. The death of his father was a turning point in Parashurama's life. This is a great war fought to fulfill the purpose of Lord Mahavishnu's incarnation. It was because of this war that during the transition from the Satya Yuga to the Treta Yuga, all the most wicked kings on earth were destroyed and Dharma was re-established. In those days, there was a king named Kartaviri Arjuna belonging to the Hayaya dynasty of the Kshatriya lineage. He was an extraordinary and powerful man possessing 1,000 arms. With the blessings of Dattatreya, he acquired immense powers and, filled with arrogance, began to torment the worlds. Once while out hunting, Kartaviri Arjuna arrived near the ashram of Sage Jamadagni with his massive army. Sage Jamadagni, with the help of his divine Kamdhenu cow, offered wonderful hospitality to the king and his army. Seeing the power of that cow, Kartaviri Arjuna's desire grew in his heart. Thinking that strength is greater than penance, he insulted the sage and forcefully took away the Kamdhenu cow. Not only that, he also destroyed the ashram before leaving. At that time, Parashurama was not in the ashram. When Parashurama returned and came to know about this, his anger knew no bounds. Seeing the arrogance and thievery increasing among kings, Parashurama took up his divine axe and went after Kartavirya Arjuna. In the fierce battle, Parashurama used his sharp axe to cut off Kartavirya Arjuna's 1,000 arms and beheaded him, thus killing him. He rescued Kamdhenu and brought her back to the ashram. Although sage Jamadagni was pleased with this valor, he advised his son to follow the path of forgiveness as per dharma. But with this incident, the story of Bhargava Rama takes an unexpected turn. They were waiting to take revenge for the killing of their father, Kartavirya Arjuna. Taking advantage of the time when Parashurama had gone out of the ashram, they attacked the ashram. At that time, they cruelly beheaded Jamadagni Maharshi, who was in deep penance, and wickedly threw his head towards their mother Renuka Devi before fleeing from there. When Parashurama returned to the ashram and saw his father lying in a pool of blood, he was overcome with terrible grief and intense anger. He began to cry out loudly in such a way that every creature in the forest trembled with fear. Such was the fury in his eyes that a part of the forest was scorched. Mother Renuka Devi, mourning her husband's death, struck the ground 21 times and wept, falling to the earth in grief. Overwhelmed by that sorrow, she lost her composure. The entire ashram was drenched in blood. Seeing such a brutal killing of a Brahmagyani who was immersed in penance and had not harmed anyone, Parashurama's eyes turned red with rage. The axe in his hand began to gleam fiercely with that intense anger. His roar shattered the very sky. The animals in the forest ran helter-skelter in fear for their lives. The earth trembled. The very father for whose command he had once beheaded his own mother now lay lifeless before him. The very mother whom he had once wished would simply come back to life, now, unable to bear her husband's death, was beating herself on the ground and wailing like a madwoman. Each cry she let out pierced Parashurama's heart like a spear. Her lament echoed in his ears like a dirge of death. Witnessing this great injustice unfold before his eyes and seeing his father's sacred blood spilled upon the ground, all the peace within him was utterly destroyed. Now, as if there was no room left for forgiveness, his eyes blazed with fire. In that very moment, he was not just Jamadagni's son, but had transformed into a Rudra of the time of destruction, ready to burn down all unrighteousness. Then, having witnessed his father's brutal death right before his eyes, and seeing his mother weeping her heart out, beating the ground 21 times in her grief, how could that Bhargava Rama's anger not break all bounds? How did Parashurama, in his fierce form, wage that great cataclysmic war against the arrogant Kshatriya dynasties? Let us see about this bloody history in the second part. If you want part 2, please comment Parashurama part 2. Based on your comments, we will definitely make part 2. Also, everyone who's watching this video, please do like this video. Part 2 will be made based on your likes and comments.